Picture this. You're meeting friends at a cafe at 6 p.m. You check the time. It's 5:47. Perfect. You're already there, sitting quietly with a glass of water, pretending to scroll your phone while secretly watching the door. At 5:58, you start wondering if you came too early. At 6:03, you notice something interesting. Everyone else is just now arriving. And suddenly you realize, this always happens. You're the early one, the person who shows up before everyone else, the one who arrives at the airport 3 hours early, the one who gets to class before the teacher, the one sitting in the parking lot before an interview even starts. From the outside, people usually say the same thing. Wow, you're really organized. But psychology suggests something deeper might be going on, because people who consistently arrive early aren't just good at time management. Their brains are often wired in a very specific way when it comes to anticipation, control, and emotional safety. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine two people get invited to the same event. Both know it starts at 7 o'clock. One person thinks, if I leave at 6:40, I'll probably be fine. The other person's brain immediately starts running simulations. What if traffic happens? What if parking is hard? What if the elevator is slow? What if I walk in late and everyone notices? Their mind starts building tiny what-if scenarios, like a chess player thinking 5 moves ahead. And so, they leave at 6:15, just in case. Now here's the fascinating part. Psychologists sometimes call this future simulation. Your brain constantly predicts what might happen next so you can avoid problems before they appear. It's one of the most powerful survival tools humans have. But in people who always arrive early, this prediction system tends to run a little stronger. Your brain isn't just thinking about the present moment. It's thinking about the possible future embarrassment of walking in late, the social discomfort, the feeling of being watched. And if your brain can prevent that discomfort by leaving earlier, problem solved. This connects to something psychologists call anticipatory anxiety. Not full-blown anxiety necessarily, but the mental habit of preparing for potential stress before it happens. Your brain treats time like a buffer zone. Being early means safety. Being late means risk. Think about it like carrying an umbrella when the forecast says there's a 10% chance of rain. Most people take the chance and leave it at home. But some people would rather carry the umbrella all day than get caught in the storm. People who arrive early often carry emotional umbrellas. But here's where it gets really interesting. Not all early people are driven by anxiety. Sometimes it's driven by responsibility. Many people who arrive early were the reliable one growing up, the responsible sibling, the kid who didn't want to cause problems. Maybe they heard phrases like, "Don't make people wait," or "Be respectful of others' time." Those messages sink deep into the brain. Over time, punctuality becomes more than behavior. It becomes identity. I'm the dependable one. And identity is powerful. When something becomes part of how you see yourself, your brain protects it fiercely. If being on time equals being responsible, then being late feels like moral failure. Not just a mistake, a failure. But the story goes even deeper than that, because arriving early also gives something very subtle: control. Think about walking into a room where everyone is already seated. Conversations are happening. People glance at you as you enter. You have to find your place quickly. Your brain interprets this as social pressure. Now flip the situation. You arrive early, the room is quiet. You pick your seat, you settle in. You watch everyone else arrive. Completely different emotional experience. Early arrival flips the social power dynamic. Instead of entering someone else's space, you become part of the environment first. Your nervous system feels calmer because nothing is unpredictable yet. For some people, this matters more than they realize. In psychology, predictability reduces stress. Your brain loves environments where it knows what's coming next. Uncertainty, on the other hand, triggers the amygdala, the brain's threat detection system. Yes, that tiny almond-shaped structure again, the same one that fires when you hear a loud noise or feel social embarrassment. When you arrive early, you reduce uncertainty. You allow your brain time to scan the environment, adjust, and relax. It's almost like emotional stretching before a workout. But there's another fascinating layer to this behavior: personality. Research in personality psychology shows that people high in conscientiousness are much more likely to be punctual or early. Conscientiousness is the trait associated with discipline, reliability, and long-term thinking. It's one of the personality traits in the famous Big Five models studied by psychologists like Robert McCrae and Paul Costa. People high in conscientiousness tend to plan ahead, think about consequences, and care about fulfilling commitments. Their brains naturally prioritize structure. In other words, they don't just hope things go smoothly, they engineer smoothness. That's why the early arriver is often the same person who finishes assignments ahead of time, checks details twice, and packs for trips days before leaving. Their brain doesn't enjoy last-minute chaos. It prefers calm preparation. But here's something you might not expect. People who arrive early are often more empathetic than people who arrive late. Why? Because part of their thinking process involves imagining how their actions affect others. If they arrive late, they picture the inconvenience, the awkward interruption, the possibility that someone is waiting. Their brain simulates the social impact, and empathy motivates them to avoid that situation entirely. In that sense, arriving early can actually be a form of social care. It's a quiet way of saying, your time matters. Now, of course, like any psychological trait, there can be a shadow side. Sometimes chronic earliness becomes perfectionism in disguise. The person might feel genuine discomfort when they're not early, a sense of internal tension, almost like breaking an unwritten rule. Perfectionistic minds often create invisible standards. 5 minutes early is on time. On time is late. Sound familiar? That phrase floats around in schools, sports teams, even workplaces. The message is simple. Excellence means anticipating the future. But perfectionism can sometimes make life feel like a constant race against the clock. If that resonates with you, here's an interesting perspective shift. Your tendency to arrive early isn't just about time. It's about awareness. You notice consequences. You imagine possibilities. You care about reliability. Your brain is wired for foresight. And foresight is one of the most powerful cognitive abilities humans have. It's the same mental skill that allowed civilizations to build cities, invent agriculture, and send spacecraft beyond Earth. Speaking of spacecraft, think about the engineers behind missions at organizations like NASA. Those launches are planned down to the millisecond. Every possible delay is calculated. Backup plans exist for backup plans. Because when stakes are high, preparation matters. Your early arrival habit is basically that mindset on a smaller scale. You plan for the unexpected. And while friends might joke about you being too early, what they're actually seeing is your brain's natural strategy for stability. But there's also something beautifully human about those quiet early moments. Think about them. The empty cafe before the crowd arrives. The quiet classroom before everyone fills the seats. The stillness of an airport terminal early in the morning. Those moments exist outside the rush of the day. They're pockets of calm most people never experience because they arrive right when everything begins. Early people experience the transition, the slow opening of the world. And sometimes, those quiet minutes are the real reward, a chance to breathe, to think, to observe. So if you're someone who always arrives early, maybe the deeper question isn't, why can't I just show up on time like everyone else? Maybe the question is this: what does your brain value? Stability, respect for others' time, preparedness, predictability, space to settle in before the noise begins. Those are not weaknesses. Those are your psychological strengths. Of course, balance matters. Life isn't meant to be lived entirely in buffers and safety margins. Sometimes spontaneity is healthy too. But the next time someone teases you for being 20 minutes early, remember something. Your brain isn't broken. It's simply running a slightly different algorithm, one that prioritizes foresight over urgency, preparation over pressure, calm over chaos. And in a world that constantly feels rushed, that mindset might actually be a quiet superpower. So now I'm curious, are you the early one in your group, the person waiting at the cafe while everyone else runs 5 minutes late? Or are you the opposite, the person sprinting through the door at the last second? Let me know in the comments. I always find it fascinating how differently our brains treat something as simple as time. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind everyday behaviors like this, stick around. There are a lot of ordinary habits that reveal extraordinary things about how the human mind works.